Semiconductors making the moves all year, and today is no different. Major move to the upside. David Nicholson, Chief Research Officer at the Futurum Group, is with us. What's jumping out? You were talking about Supermicro. We've seen NVIDIA. Start with a couple of these movers and how they jump out at you.
Well, I'd say that it's always interesting. Good to see you, Nicole. It's always interesting to see the short-term movers. I think what continues to jump out at us at the Futurum Group is the overall trend, frankly, that AI hype, which is very, very real. AI hype is driving semiconductors. It's lifting all boats in the semiconductor space. And so, against that backdrop, you're going to see spikes, you're going to see dips. But I think the long range forecast, when you look out into 2024, is positive for pretty much everyone in this space.
All semis are not the same, right? Just because we're
Correct.
seeing SMCI jumping or NVIDIA has been doing incredibly well, they're not all the same, right? Which ones seem to be leading in your mind and why?
Yeah, I would say that clearly the NVIDIAs of the world are leading. I would say, though, keep an eye on the likes of the Intels and the AMDs of the world. The backdrop that we're working against, frankly, our view at Futurum Group is that second only to energy, semiconductors are what underpins the global economy, and they are the most likely nexus for potentially global conflict. So there are a lot of things that can happen, in this marketplace that can cause disruptions. If you look from an analog chip perspective, we've seen recently companies like Texas Instruments have lagged a bit because of dips on demand for things like chips that go into the automotive industry. But when we take a broad view, despite half of the semiconductor industry being supported by consumer goods, think in terms of mobile phones and things like that. The other half is that data center push, which is absolutely buoyed by AI, and AI will be getting out towards the edge as we move forward. So I see you got our friends at Broadcom, formerly known as Avago, up there. Another one to watch. But again, I go back to Intel on this specifically because of what's going on in this sort of Intel versus Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing. There's a meeting next week in San Jose around this subject on Intel's foundry services and the direction that they're heading. So I think we're going to see that tension heat up in coming years.
And so, the other thing, and I hear what you're saying about its importance and electricity, I guess energy being the number one because you need electricity to run semis, right? Was that sort of the premise behind it not being number one?
Well, I would say that those of us in sort of the tech sector see energy as being produced to feed the beast of technology. But I just mean that literally everything in our global economy as we move forward is driven by access to technology. And in the era of AI, where we're about to take this additional trajectory upwards, it's going to be increasingly important. So, if you're worried about global events that could unfold between China and Taiwan, as an example, then probably a good hedge is domestic semiconductor capacity. Pay attention to what's going on with the CHIPS Act. Pay attention to what folks like Supermicro, AMD, Intel, Micron are doing domestically in this regard. We're going to see a huge shift over the next couple of years as Intel specifically catches and potentially surpasses Taiwan Semiconductor in terms of process manufacturing capabilities. We're moving from nanometer scale down to the angstrom scale, which is mind-boggling.
So they could potentially surpass Taiwan Semi, or at least catch up to Taiwan Semi. That in itself is a really big deal. Also, the fact that we're moving more, when we think about AI is expanding, right? It's moving into PCs and mobile, right? Tell me a little bit about some of the projections or forecasts, things that we can expect going forward.
Well, if we look back 2022, 2023, any dips that you might have seen in terms of consumer spending, or that half of the semiconductor market that's driven by consumer stuff, well, AI is trickling down into those devices. So our mobile devices, PCs, will have specialized capabilities for leveraging large language models, delivering AI at the edge, as we say. And so we expect that segment of the market to be supported as well. So if you thought there was weakness, softness in that market, AI will be serving to lift those consumer product boats also. So it's not just about data center AI.
And also the other thing too here is I was looking at the Bank of America note with the buy rating on SMCI, which is up 13% today. They have this buy rating, but it was also about the growth and just seeing the revenues that could grow even faster, driving the market share. And just, they were sort of looking back over the past 17 years, but saying that the next few years, will be the where it could grow at 50%, or at least part of this, CAGR. It just shows how quickly things are moving now, right?
Yeah. We at Futurum, we have no reason to dispute Taiwan Semiconductor's recent projections. As an example, that they'll see 20% growth in 2024. When we look out to 2030, from a semiconductor perspective, we expect near double-digit growth. From a CAGR perspective between now and 2030. So you're going to see sharper rises and some dips. But a basket of investment, and again, we don't give specific investment advice, but from a hedge perspective, against the backdrop of the entire semiconductor industry, I really think that we're looking at near double-digit growth between now and 2030. So yeah, I'm not skeptical about anyone's claims. Of course, there is hype when it comes to AI and what it will deliver, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's up. It's SMCI, by the way, 1 year up 971%. NVIDIA also has been an incredible winner in 1 year, up 218%. Anybody would be happy with those returns, and it certainly doesn't. I don't know if it'll continue to grow at this. These stocks will grow at this rate, but it certainly sounds like semis, AI is still very much in a growth pattern. Thank you, David Nicholson, Chief Research Officer at the Futurum Group. I'm glad you were with us. Thank you. And some positive words on Intel and that growth too. Thank you.